All right, cool. So welcome everyone to this open TSBOC, the Secret Business of Coaching session. I am Rich Waterman and this is
Chris Joseph.
And we run this TSBOC mastermind. So basically it's a mastermind that enables coaches who are super talented to be rewarded financially and get the just desserts for all the work they put in. And one of the things that we do in TSBOC is we run a monthly mastermind call where we coach some of the members in the group, of which the lovely Dave James is one, which we'll introduce him in a minute. And then we also unpack the coaching that we do for the members as well. So they get to be coached, but also we explain what we did in the coaching. But I'm going to, before I rattle on too much, I'll let Chris introduce himself. I'm Rich Waterman, senior trainer for Tony Robbins, and I'm the co-founder of TSBOC, along with this lovely man who's Welsh.
Don't hold that against me, folks. Yeah, as Rich said, one of the things with Rich and myself realized as we grew our coaching practices to, what are now strong six-figure practices, is that there's the element, obviously, of coaching itself, and we're going to coach Dave today and disseminate the coaching. But then there's the whole business side that evolves around the coaching as well. The proposal in and of itself is an art. So that's the kind of stuff we deal with on mastermind calls and also in the live training days that we do. So tonight we're going to co-coach Dave. So we're going to tag team Dave. So the poor man has got two coaches here going at him. And then we'll disseminate probably at the end. But if there's points in between where there's a clear kind of use of a coaching technique, then Rich or myself might jump in and put a second tier to this call of explaining what we do in there and then in the moment. I think that would probably be useful. And I think that's it. So I think maybe we should introduce Dave, or let Dave introduce himself. Go, Dave.
What can I say? I'm Dave James. I am a foot and leg magician, which you would probably know as a podiatrist if you wanted to put me into a particular box. I currently run a business in Kidderminster in Worcestershire, which provides foot care services and biomechanic services and all that kind of stuff to patients in the locality. I'm now in the process of transitioning towards a new role as coach and mentor to people in my industry with the help of, actually, on this, I can see them on each side of me with these two guys here and the guys in the group below as well. I've been on the mastermind since, I think it was March. That's me, really, so far.
So Dave, I've got a question straight up, which is, obviously you've been a member of TSBOC2, our second mastermind group, and we're moving into TSBOC3. I'd love to hear from you a summary in terms of how far you've come and also where you want to go to.
Well, just to go back, we first met back in, it was April, May last year at an event down in London and kind of instantly connected at that point. It was when you put a call out, I think it's about October, November last year, and you said, hey, I'm looking to work with some people on a close basis to develop their coaching practice. When we first met, I had no thoughts at all about moving into coaching and mentoring. It just hadn't occurred, it hadn't clicked. And when I saw your message, there was no doubt that it was worth that message. And also it put me massively out of my comfort zone. I think I said to you on the message that my chimp was coming out the corner and really screaming, just even sending you a message. And we had subsequent calls at that point to I suppose, check my suitability to come into the group, and we did. And we started in March, and I have to say that I might look the same as I did then. I'm probably a bit fatter than I was then, but only a little bit, of course. But I'm in a completely different space. In using the term space, using different language. I started off 6, 7, 8 months ago as a podiatry business owner, still with a job, thinking that was what I was going to be doing while having coaching as almost like as a side job. And I'm now in the position where I'm just negotiating the sale of my business in order to free me up with space and time to work more on the coaching practice, which 8 months ago I wouldn't have even considered. And that revelation came really with a meeting with the coaching conversation with Chris, where it was basically why can't I have that now? And actually, what's standing in the way of me getting my coaching practice moving? What do I need to do to get space? And actually, one of those things was to sell my business and move away from that. And 6, 7, 8 months ago, I wouldn't have even considered that as an option. So it's been, for me, it's been a massive change. I'm overly critical on myself that I probably haven't changed as much as I would like to, but that, again, 6, 7, 8 months ago, I would have really been beating myself up about it, but actually I'm enjoying the journey. And I look at myself now and I listen to the words I use, and I look at the conversations I have with people, and it's very, very different. I'm even in places now where I'm being asked to speak at some of my industry events around social media and around podiatry and linking those together, which has a massive coaching and mentoring element to it. And none of that would have really occurred without the steps that I've taken as being part of this group. So yeah, for me, it's been amazing, absolutely amazing. And I'm not just saying that because you two guys are here and everyone's below. It is genuinely, it has been a massively life-changing thing for me. So yeah, I'm very grateful to everyone. So thank you very much. And good night.
We'll leave it there.
Join TSBOC 3. Do it now.
I remember that call very well. It was probably 2 or 3 months ago we had the call. It was, if you're watching this and you're not familiar with TSBOC and the format we run in our masterminds, 6-month mastermind groups, what we include, certainly at the moment, is we include an hourly one-to-one monthly call with either Rich or myself. So you get 6 one-to-one 1-hour calls over the 6 months. And what Dave is referring to is one of these calls. We got on a call, had an hour session, and what was showing up for Dave was something you see a lot in people who are transitioning. They're transitioning from either running their own business or having a job, often a high-level professional job, transitioning from that into coaching. And the frustration that was showing up for Dave was just wanting more space, really. His time was being fully occupied with running the business. And the thing with coaching is that Rich and I don't hold back. and I looked Dave in the eye and I said, what's it going to take? And what came out of that was selling the business. So that's my recall of the conversation. What's yours, Dave? Because I remember it vividly. It was a strong conversation, and there was that. There's moments in life where we have opportunities in front of us, and we have to make the decision. It's hell yes or hell no. And we know the pivotal decisions. And that moment certainly struck me as a pivotal decision. And I'm curious as to how you remember it.
I mean, I've been in practice now for almost 8 years of my own business, and 3 of those have been exclusively private with lots of other things like NHS, and I finished a master's degree in 2015, and you do a master's degree and you think, wow, this is brilliant. This is like the pinnacle of my career. And then you realize it's a massive anticlimax. And it was that point where I finished the master's where I knew that I had to go through those personal development steps. But for me, that conversation was interesting because there was really 2 options which came out of it. It was I either stay where I am with the frustrations, or I take that big leap to do something else. And I think it was that point where I realized that I was actually more scared of staying where I was than the future ahead. And it's the thing which I found with the coaching and the mentoring has been that step towards possibility. It's, well, actually, what would be possible? What would you, if you took that business and you sold it, or even if you took that business and you just said, right, you said to your patients, I'm stopping in 2 months' time. And that we talked about that as an option. And I was so certain that what I was doing was not where I wanted to be, that I would literally just draw a line in the sand and say, that's it, and just leave it and just walk away from it. Which is probably a bit of a silly thing to do in hindsight, but I was well prepared to do that. But it was suddenly the possibility which comes from selling a business. That's another, I can say that I've run a business successfully for 8 years, and that gives me more. It gives me more stories. It gives me more experience, which I can share as part of my coaching and mentoring. But yeah, I remember that I remember coming out of that conversation and talking to my wife. I do talk to her occasionally, be pleased to know. But well, whether she listens or not is a whole other thing. But I remember saying to her, and she just sort of said, yeah, It was the certainty in what I said after that conversation must have resonated with her. She's just like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. And one interesting thing, I was in the gym last week, and a personal trainer that my wife Becky trains with actually turned around to her and said, "Your husband looks really happy at the moment." And that's when it kind of came home that I may not look different on the outside, but actually there's something showing up now, which is a complete change in my being and the way I am around. And that for me was like, yeah. So it's amazing change.
Sorry, go on, Chris. You go.
Okay. One of the analogies I've used recently with another client I'm working with from America is an analogy of an optician. You go into an optician and you have the frame on, and they say better with or without, with or without. And as coaches, that's often what we do with clients. We help them to see one vision for the future with. So for your case, that evening, I was helping you to see the vision of with business. And then there's without business, with something else that takes the place of business. And helping the client to move on those two pathways and obviously come back to the present enables that client to see those two vividly and then to make a visceral decision. Because that's what landed that night, was a very kinesthetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
For what you wanted to do. So what I'm curious about, we set in the context, of course, of people watching this video, what I'm curious about tonight, this evening, is if we play that game of with or without in respect to how you move forward from this point right now.
So I'm going to call time out there before Dave answers that question, because one of the things that Chris and I have explored a lot, and actually Chris and I co-coach each other as well, and Chris brought this up actually in coaching me recently, was the power of decision. And this is something we're moving tonight, is one of the phrases we use in the Robbins environment is that nothing gets resolved in the land of maybe. And what Chris got me to do recently was to create a page with 3 columns, which is first column, hell yes, middle column, maybe, right-hand column, hell no. Because both of us realised that, for us to create 6-figure businesses, we had to move a lot of stuff out of the maybe space, most of it into the no column, and a couple of things into the hell yes. And hell yes means I'm doing it. And Dave, you have moved a long way. And one of the reasons why you're in this mastermind team is because I knew how much talent, how much asset you had. One of the things we talk about a lot in creating and coaching businesses is to make the most of the assets that you have. And I'm wondering, like Chris said, just to recap on his question, is now you're basically saying no to the owning a podiatry business. I'm wondering what's going to appear as a hell yes, I am doing this, once that space is cleared.
Senior Robbins trainer. I've got a few years to catch up. It's interesting. I think we talked about this before, but just for the clarity on the call, one of the things which I seem to be able to do really quite well is speaking. And there's been some massive, not massive, but there's been lots of opportunities coming up for speaking. In fact, somebody I was coaching today, a friend of mine I train with, actually said to me, we need a speaker for next year at one of our branch meetings, one of our podiatry branch meetings, and the answer straight away was yes. There was no hesitation. It was yes, I'm going to do that, and that's because I know I'm good at it. Speaking is a big thing, and getting in front of people to talk about what I know in terms of podiatry and running a business, and coupling that with what I've learned, what I've grown inside, and what I've developed, and being able to share those insights with other people is that's a massive hell yes. And I think a lot of my industry are not ready for it. They have no idea that there's so much change has got to come on. But unless I go ahead and do it, and I go ahead and do it without fear, and I'm massively scared of doing that. I'm massively scared of being judged by my peers. I'm massively scared that someone's going to turn around and go, oh, he's a bit of a donkey, we better not listen to him, and have some haters. But I appreciate that that's going to be part of the process. And actually now I'm welcoming it, because it makes me up my game. So for me, it's now a case of hell yes, of pushing the boat out and seeing what is possible. So there's no doubt about that now.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed with you is that you obviously you like to use humour a lot, and that makes you very, very approachable and down to earth, which I think is more needed in the speaking business. And then I'm also one of the things, the shifts I have started to see occurring in you, and I think will be an ongoing shift, is while using that humour to make yourself approachable, entertaining, open, is also being deadly serious about how good you are and the impact that you can have with people's businesses. And I think you can have both of those approaches. I think one of the things I would have picked you up on in the past is overusing the self-deprecation to the point where people might think, well, is he that good? Because he's making fun of himself a lot. I'm wondering how that sits with you.
That's always, you're quite right. That has always been a challenge and certainly I know Chris has picked me up on this on a few times, the use of language, but I'm much better at that. I still have days where I'm just, I look in the mirror and go, well, you're just not, you're an imposter. You're no good at this. What do you think you're doing? And then I have to flip it around and start looking at what I've achieved so far. But yeah, it is very easy for me to make a joke instead of being serious about something. And that's practice. That is practice. It's been called out by people. It's been called out by you guys. It's been called out. I mean, even my wife calls me out on that now. If I say something negative, she calls me out on it. And actually, I've had my children do it too. So that wider impact of the coaching and mentoring has made a big difference. But yeah, it's very, very easy to fall back into that humour space.
I think once you enrol people, it's fine to use the humour. I mean, we use a lot of humour in TSBOC. It's one part of what we do. It makes the learning and growing, easier. It makes it lighter. But, your biggest challenge, and a lot of coaches in the industry, myself and Chris included, is, your best kept secret out there. And that's got to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is as much for me about, I won't use the term celebrity in that space, but I suppose it's about being known in my industry. I mean, we only have 13,000 registered podiatrists in the whole of the UK, and there's only a few people which stand out. But I know that by being the way I am and by putting myself into positions where I'm seen, I'm already becoming known in my industry, which is great. And I have to say, I love that. I absolutely love being part of that. But then there's a little bit in the back of my mind going, oh, you're meant to be a bit more modest. You're not meant to be showing off or anything. So it's that balance. It's that balance of being seen, of being valuable, of having something to say, but not just being there for people's entertainment, but actually being there to make a difference. Very, very interesting kind of balance for me, that one.
So let's do a little time out there, because there was a couple of things going on. First, there's a call out of a very important reframe that is definitely worth calling out here for the benefit of people watching. And there's people who are new to coaching often think that they are new coaches in that they have not much to offer. But the truth is that coaching is about curiosity. It's about love of the person opposite you. It's about really sitting with what's ticking for that person the other side of the camera or the other side of the table if you're live. And you've been doing that for the whole of your life. You've been doing it on a personal level with friends and family. You've been doing it on a professional level as well in your business. So you bring all of that wealth of experience to every single call that you now do on a coaching basis. And of course, that's what people pay for. They don't pay for the hour. We come in when we talk about fees and so on. It's not about the hour. It's about everything that happened in your life up to that point and what you're able to bring to that conversation. Not necessarily advice. Often is question. I talked recently with Rich about living from questions rather than solutions, which we won't go into at the moment. That's the first thing. The second thing was a coaching technique thing, where Rich a second ago was speaking out into the world his vision of what he saw Dave as now. And he was checking for the efficacy of previous change work that's happened in our one-to-one and group conversations with Dave. He was saying, Dave is so-and-so, Dave is somebody who used to be, use comedy, self-deprecating and so on, but now less so. And he was seeing how that landed with Dave. And it's clear from the way you responded that change work in your head is already happened. So that's a coaching technique thing that was going on there. Just checking that.
I did have a joke lined up as well, but it wasn't funny, so sorry.
Never stopped me before, Dave.
We can edit that out. No,
if it's not funny, we'll chop it out. And that is important to, you know, one of the mistakes I've made in the past, probably several times, is kind of ploughing forward coaching a client, assuming that all the change is stuck, and it hasn't. You end up kind of building things on sand, and it is that solid foundation. And I just wanted also like to explain to people watching this video who don't know you and don't know the work that we've done, you know, where you come from. And then, so now one of the biggest shifts for me and Chris when we created our business was it was two stages. It was being crystal clear on what a great coaching practice looked like, number of clients, how often we'd be coaching, you know, we'll be doing group stuff, one-to-one, what would that look like? And then translating that into habits and processes and standards, and making sure that we executed on that on a consistent basis such that that outcome or something similar to it was inevitable. So that's what I'd like to throw at you tonight, Dave, is really, you know, what with the Pataji business sold, what do you want it to look like?
See, that's a really good question. I have to say I do struggle with that. I struggle with that concrete vision on things. I know that one of the things I've done in the past is I've always put the podiatry business in the way or using the excuse.
Is the struggling true?
I think it is.
Let me just put a quick time out on that. So questioning a statement or belief, because sometimes a statement like that can get in the way of creating the solution. So I'll let that carry on now. So carry on, Dave.
I'll take the call out on that one. Yeah, I do believe it's struggling, but I also equally am aware that it's a massive excuse, and it's a massive excuse which stops me from action. And I know with this that it is just a case of action. And Rich, I know we had a call a while back about trying to make that space so I could have coaching calls, and one of the things I did was actually freed up time from September onwards. Now, it's complete clarity on that one. Initially, that has been a problem because I've got the person who's going to be buying my business coming in on a Friday, so there needs to be some balance there. But that's part of the process of moving forward.
Yeah, and there's flexibility in a plan. Yeah,
and I know that I am fully aware of sabotaging myself based on this gets in the way and not moving forward with action.
Are you open to playing a game, Dave?
It depends. I've spent time with you up north, so it's.
We'll warm our hands, Dave, for you.
I've still got the tape here, you know. So. Yeah, absolutely. Love to.
To call out my teaching level, one of the distinctions. So Steve Chandler, a great book. If you're watching here and you want a great book recommendation, is Crazy Good by Steve Chandler. Talks about 15 distinctions in that book. Binary distinctions, and we bring a lot of binary talk into coaching about cleaning up energy. Hell yes, hell no, for example, is one binary distinction. Steve talks about game and shame. So things like, and it's not coming through strongly, but things like struggle, for example, they can start that downward loop of going into shame mode. I haven't done this. I can't. I'm not clear on vision. I struggle a little bit with that. That's okay. But we don't want to play in the shame game. We want to play in a fun way, in a gamification way, because game opens up the mind, creativity. So hence the language. Language is very, very important in coaching. So coming back to the call, the game is this, Dave, is that if we speak, and I'm sure we will speak, in you're not going to go away, are you? In 3 years' time. So it's 2021, and we're having the conversation now. So it's 2021, September 2021, right now. So we're having a conversation, and who knows, it might be a Zoom conversation. And you say to me, I remember that call we had back in 2018. I remember that, you know, you were talking about TSBOC3 and you wanted to create a video and coach people so other people outside of the current mastermind could get an experience and so on of what we were up to. And you asked me that question about what I wanted to create. And now I'm looking around and you know what? I've created it. I'm speaking to this type of person on a daily basis. My business looks like this. I'm even earning this amount of money, charging these types of fees. What do you see? What do you see in terms of those descriptors? You're looking around now, 2021.
I was going to tell a joke then, but I won't.
I'm timing you out there, Dave. Sorry again, because that was I love that bit of coaching. So one of the things that we need to be careful with when we're talking about the future is part of the brain's going, this is serious. This is the main thing I'm going to do. And there's a weight to it. Chris was referring to it in a different way. There's a heaviness to it. And that's what I love about turning it into a game, because it's light. Light is gamification is open, it's fun, it's possible. And also notice that Chris led Dave into a different space with his physiology. So he was laughing a lot, making it fun, making it light. So Dave, if you give a part of your body a little bit of a tickle, we don't have to see it. Where are you going to be in 3 years? What's
3 years? Okay, so 2021. It's a toss-up between which two of you is my best employee. But
I think I might be slightly more rebellious. I just warn you now.
You'll need to wrestle on that one. Coaching's going to be a huge part of my. Well, coaching is a huge part of my life in 2021. It's not the only thing.
So the reason I stopped there is because Dave's still projecting forwards into 2021.
I've had my eyes corrected by laser surgery. No, it's 2021. Coaching is not the only thing that I do. There are sources of passive income around. From working certainly with my dad, who I've talked about before on calls. He's in a place where we're actually going to be working together, or we are working together. There we go. Get the language right. Good. Coaching for me is coaching not just podiatrists and podiatry business owners. I am coaching people outside of that sphere by recommendation. There is no advertising at the moment. It is all by word of mouth. It's all by invite. I have the space now to be able to freely coach people and not worry about whether I'm coaching people to propose to them and get more money in. I'm able just to coach them and I'm enjoying the process. And it's replaced my podiatry income multiple times. I have time now to take my children to school. In fact, now my daughter is, goodness me, I've got to do my maths on this now. My daughter has just finished her GCSEs and she's got all of them perfectly, and she's deciding what she wants to do now with college, whether she wants to stay at school. My youngest lad is 11. My oldest lad is 13 and just about to start a new school. It's a completely different space, and I have time for all of those people. I'm slim, I'm beautiful. But I have
Let's not overdo it, Dave.
Yeah, I'm also the world croquet champion.
God damn you! I came second. How does that feel, Dave?
It feels amazing. Of that. It feels amazing. I can watch my own body language here, and it's light. I'm smiling, and showing off my beautiful 2021 teeth. It feels really, really good. It feels good that I've broken free of that place I was 3 years ago, even though I remember that place 3 years ago in 2018 being pretty fantastic because of the change. And in 2021 now, I don't have the fear I had before. It's a much lighter place to be.
So looking back to the fear that you thought you had back in 2018, what was the fear that you thought you had that has turned out not to have weight to it?
The fear was that I wasn't as great as I actually am. That there was still those creeping doubts coming in that those little things which might just sort of peck at you were actually a lot bigger than they really were. And instead of the one thing, I suppose, instead of looking at them as being things which grab you and hold you back, you take them, you look at them and you examine them and go, okay, this isn't a failure, this isn't a problem. What can I learn from this? Where is the power and strength within that which I can use, and discarding the bits I don't need, and just letting them go.
It sounds like you 2021 year is actually wants to come back in time and give 2018 version some advice. What would that advice be? Traveling back in time 3 years, what advice are you giving?
Yeah, you've got it sorted. Don't worry about TSBOC 3.
You don't need that stuff.
It would be the path you're on is absolutely fine, and everything you're doing is absolutely perfect, and everything you're doing has a time and a place. Don't rush, but don't hold back, and don't be scared of what you can do. Don't hold yourself back. Don't think you're not capable. Just know that you are amazingly capable of what you do, and those 45 years of experience that you have at that point it's got massive power to it. Got massive power. And also, don't look at what other people are doing and don't worry about them.
Unless they're really good.
Unless they're, world-class croquet players or league juggling champions, that kind of thing. I wonder whether the screen's stuck or whether actually he is just staring me out.
No, he's actually stuck.
I broke his internet.
One of the things is Chris is. Let me actually use that as a learning tool. Actually, utilization. It's called. So one of the things that I tend to talk a lot, and I tend to it's more of a machine gun approach to coaching. So I just tend to probe lots of different questions. I've got another bit of probing for Dave in a minute. Chris is very good at holding silence, which is why actually genuinely we didn't know if his webcam had frozen or not. Because sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes actually you hold the silence and the space and allow the client to process. My question for Dave, and I know Chris has got stuff he wants to jump in on as well, is what would you have to forget for this not to happen?
What do I have to forget for it not to happen?
Yeah.
There was a lot of double negatives in there, wasn't there? What do I...
Deliberately.
Oh, goodbye. Rephrase that for me. It's 20 to 9 on a Monday evening, I think.
I'll say it again for you.
Oh, okay.
What would you have to forget for it not to happen?
I'd have to forget the change I've had already. I'd have to forget all the good stuff which has happened to me in the last 6 months, in the last 3 years, and in the last 45 years. All of the learning I've had. I'd have to forget the books on the shelf there. All of the learning in those books which I've taken on board, which I've mixed around in me, and I've produced something of value to the world. I'd have to forget all of that. And I don't want to go back. I'm not going back to me 3 years ago. I'm not going back to me 6 months ago. I'm just shudder. That makes me feel really uncomfortable even thinking about it. You bad man.
So on a coaching level, that was an excellent question. Rich shows a lot of promise as a coach. Yeah, if you join TSBOC, then you'll get to hear the phrase "it shows a lot of promise" a lot. It's our way of keeping ego in check. But for Dave to make sense of that question, there was two things. First of all, he had to take himself to the absolute certainty of it's happening. And secondly, he knows that he knows everything he needs to know about it happening. There is a lovely phrase, I can't remember who the author is. I know more than I know, and I must learn it from myself. I know more than I know, and I must learn it from myself. So that the journey that Dave is talking about here retrospectively from 2021 back to 2018 is that journey of knowing that the fear voices are insubstantial, and that if you listen to them and yet take action despite of them, that process in itself is a learning from oneself. So what happened? We've explored there at the kind of almost formless level. What happened back in 2018 from then until now in terms of action? What action did you take?
So just going to call a time out on that, because this is one of my bugbears in personal development, is people getting super pumped up about possibility and goal setting and outcomes and things like that, and then being set off into the world to go and randomly try and find a way to achieve it. And actually, the only way that you do get the outcome that Dave's going to achieve in 2021 that we're in now is by action. So it's essential that you come down to that level of detail and plan, so that Dave's brain now goes, if I do this, then I will get that. And again, looking from the future back, so we're in 2021, makes it much more real. Where you go, Dave? What are you going to do?
So, looking back to 2018, the actions basically were to have action, was to make a commitment to doing something daily to move forward to having that coaching practice. The other thing was surrounding myself with people who were already there, or were already in a place where I wanted to be, or knew significantly more about it than me. And I think, well, no, I know there's always that reluctance on investing. There's always that reluctance on going, right, I'm going to go out and find these people, I'm going to invest in them. But it is it might not be Jim Rohn, it might be somebody else. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And I made, in 2018, I made a very strong commitment to surround myself with people who could help me to grow and develop. It was as simple as that. And then act upon that advice and act upon the teaching and the learning and the coaching.
Yeah, and actually, and again, this is very important for you to know, is that, you know, if you in one of those groups you're a part of, which is TSBOC, you were very deliberately chosen because of not only because we thought you'd benefit from the quality of the group you'd be joining, and that's putting me and Chris aside, just the quality of other people, many of them were on this call, is I knew, because I knew you before you joined, I knew you'd benefit from that quality of peer group, and also I knew that you would add a lot to that peer group. And that's something to be aware of as well, as you go on and create other peer groups that you will enjoy being around. That, like Chris and I have enjoyed running this group because of the quality of people that are in it, and you will enjoy forming groups like that, but also you'll add your own value to that group as well. It's huge.
One of the things, well, firstly, let me second that, and then say this. I was discussing about client avatar with a client from America. She was a vice president in I won't name it, but a senior telecommunication company. And we were talking about client avatar, and one of the things that was realized in that call was that avatar, because it's talked about a lot in the self-development area, avatar is just us plus 2 years, 3 years. The person that we love working with is not it. Sometimes in the beginning of coaching is the person we were, but the real shift happens when you start to working with the person, at least in many areas of their life, have kind of got to where you want to. So it's the person we want to become in some areas, not all areas. So tell me a bit more detail about, as you look around yourself now, about the people you coach on a daily basis in 2021. Tell me about them. Who are they? What are they doing? What qualities do they have?
They are running successful businesses. And they're running successful businesses for a number of reasons. Sorry, excuse me, dog's barking outside. 2021 and I still have one dog, but she's much bigger than she was 3 years ago, and eats more food. They're successful business owners. They're people who have embraced the change they need to have, and they've sought out me and others to help them with that change. They are in a financially a much better position. and they are happy to spend and invest the money on good quality coaching. They don't question it, they don't quibble about it, they just get on with it. They are open to coaching, they are open to learning, they're open to growing, and they've come to that realization not by being forced down that route, but by seeing what I've done and listening to the stories that I tell, and listening to what I've learned from my journey. And they don't aspire to be me. They don't want to be me. They don't want to be coaching other people, but they still have to have an influence over the people they employ and they work with. And they want to use some of those skills to do that. They're probably the person that in 2018, had I decided I wanted to continue as a podiatry business owner, they're probably the people that I would have wanted to have been if I'd have gone down that route. And that's great. And actually, for me, looking back on those 3 years, it's nice that I've, instead of being one podiatry business owner who has patients and employees and all that kind of stuff and is making good money from it, I'm able to influence lots of other business owners to do the same. My reach has increased massively.
How did they find out about Dave James?
Who doesn't know about Dave James? I mean, look,
Well, now in 2021, everyone knows about Dave James.
In 2021, it's my reputation. I am a key person of influence in my industry and a key person of influence outside of my industry. I'm going to put it out there as well that I'm a published author. Thank you very much. And a book which is actually about a recipe for macaroons. No, it's not. I'm a published author in podiatry. And I'm a key person of influence. I'm the person that people come to if they need somebody to speak in an event, if they need somebody to motivate the profession, if they need somebody who's actually going to take the profession, the foot health industry, and actually take it to the next level.
What did you do to get there?
Graft, visibility, tenacity, just out there talking about what I've done and how it will help them, and giving people possibility and giving people a vision of what is possible when they change their position and when they embrace change.
What blocks did you
hair transplant as well?
What blocks did you face on the way?
The industry. The industry initially wasn't ready. It didn't realise that it needed to change. It didn't realise that there were other factors which we're going to kind of push it off its tabletop more than anything else. And that was the biggest barrier. It was getting people to realise that there was a problem with the industry and that industry needed to change.
I have to time that out a little a moment, because one of the things I was talking about with a client today actually was looking forward to the future. You have to be positive, be excited, to have possibility there, because otherwise your brain won't want to put the work in to get there. And equally, I think it's foolish not to examine the future space and assume it's all going to be a bed of roses and you're going to go straight line from A to B, because it doesn't happen. So I love that question about blocks and obstacles, because it's not we're encouraging Dave to focus on them and to see what all the negative stuff might be and for his brain to then sort of get dissuaded. It's about him planning that these things could happen, and I have multiple paths to success is the phrase that I use. It's one that I got from my mentor, Keith Cunningham. If you commit to the outcome and you know that you're going to find a way to get there, and we were sort of alluding to flexibility earlier on, that's massive, because then he knows that it's not a black or white, on or off approach to getting to his outcome. It's just a question of finding a way.
Mm-hmm. And to add to that as well, if you're working with somebody who's a potential client, then the reason they employ you is the how-to. You help them in the initial sessions to create strong vision for what they want to create. You help them to check in with whether that vision aligns with their values, so the energy, the why behind it. And Simon Sinek talks about starting with the why. The what, the vision's important. It's actually the how-to is how you overcome and work through the obstacles. That's why people employ coaches. That's why people join mastermind groups. It's to have the support on the journey. So that's the other thing to call out regarding blocks, is just they're going to happen, right? Challenges are going to happen, in fact, of life. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any need for this industry at all. And then it's also helping the client to see that, you know what, every single person I speak to these days has got the abilities to work through those blocks by themselves. Of course they have, because they've already achieved success to even be in front of me. So they'll work it out. It's just, do they want to work it out a little faster, a little smoother, a little easier? How much is a year, 2, 3 years of their life worth? A lot. And they see that because they've had past experience of having support in other areas of their life as well. So coming back to this conversation right now and starting to bring things more. So just from a coaching point of view, now we're into the last kind of 5 minutes of a session. Often I delve down deep into kind of formless coaching. So it's insight coaching, where, for example, on tonight's call, Dave has been able to inhabit. He's been able to habit a future mindset. He's been able to inhabit himself 3 years into the future, a forward time reframe in NLP terms. And he's spoken very positively from that space. So now I'm going to invite Dave to step back into 2018. And what do you now see, Dave? Because you've talked powerfully from that space of who you are right now. Are there any blocks?
There's less. There's less because I know it's possible, because I'm already there. The future's already there. I don't know exactly how those challenges are going to look at a micro level. I don't know how they're going to feel at a micro level, but by trusting that whole process, I know that I will get through them. And again, it's unpicking those little bits, and it's looking at those individual learnings. And I also know that realistically, it's not without challenge, but the benefit of getting to that point it far outweighs sitting in this position and not doing it.
What are the up to three things you need to do on a regular basis now to close the gap to 2021?
Practice my croquet.
It's always a good start.
Practice my croquet. 3 things I need to do. I need to talk to people. I need to approach people more and start those conversations of coaching.
I like the word more.
Like where?
I like the word more that
Me too.
You added in there. Because you talk to people, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. And critically for me, in calling myself out, not enough. Again, it's the excuse of I've got a business, it gets in the way. No, I find the time, I make those calls, so I need to talk to more people. So
what actually, let me rephrase my question then. So that's one thing you need to do more of. What else do you need to do more of?
What do I need to do more of? I need to do more trusting my knowledge, trusting my skills, trusting my experience. What else? The third one, what do I need to do more of?
I'm not going to let you have that as a second one, because I think that's a given.
Oh, you're a bad man. You're a bad man.
I said up to 3. I didn't say you had to have 3.
I quite like that. It was a bit of a challenge. You said 3.5. So I can't have trust. I can't have trusting that I already know. No, okay.
You're doing that already.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. More conversations, more opportunities to coach, more powerful conversations, more word I was going to come to then. Chris is going to say something now. He looked like he was anyway. He's giving me the power. He's giving me the eyes again. But it's more of the right conversations. That was it. It's more of the right conversations. I could talk to 30, 40 people a week if I wanted, but if they're not the right people.
So I'm hearing kind of more bolder, deeper conversations.
Absolutely. instead of just taking the easy conversation with somebody because they're there and because they want to have a conversation with me, it's actually going out of my way to talk to the people which give me the bejesus scaring cure for constipation. Those people who I wouldn't ordinarily approach because I either put them on a pedestal or I'm scared that I can't do anything for them. I need to just go out there and talk to those people.
And when you have more of those conversations, what does that lead to more of?
Oh, even more of those conversations, more quality people in different positions with different perspectives, and it pushes me further and further and further.
So what becomes, as you do that, what becomes possible then?
A coaching practice like the one I'm going to have in 2021. A coaching practice which is a significant income and is significantly life-changing, not just for me, but for the people who I coach and my family and their families and the industry. There's so much possibility.
You really want this?
There you go, Chris.
Do you really want that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Where I am now is comfortable. I could bob along in this space for as long as you want, but I know that there's so much more in me. There's so much more potential in me, and if I don't take that route, I'll look back on it and I'll go, well, why didn't you? Why didn't you use those skills? Why didn't you grow and develop in a way that you know you can? So no, the route for me has to be taken. There's no doubt.
And where's the off-site mastermind in 2021 that you're flying me and Chris out to?
Well, that's a very good question. And at the moment, I'm kind of stuck between the Cayman Islands and Tipton, just outside of Dudley. It's a bit of a close call at the moment. I'm hoping that I can build the Dave James International Tipton Airport in time to get you in there.
I'm in.
I think, you see, I think what we need to have a massive personal development roadshow where we travel around the world delivering personal development. And we go out and we do American podiatrists, they need a kick up the bum like you wouldn't believe. And I think that's where we go. Mindset training for and phobias, curing phobias of podiatry. Phobias of feet, there you go.
So
oh, we've thrown him now. Look at that. It was only a matter of time before we get him on the
on a teaching element there. What I intentionally did was I broke rapport, pulled my energy back, and challenged Dave directly, just to test his level of hell yes, really, his level of commitment to the vision he's talked about tonight. And I'm now going to ask one final question for myself, and Rich might have something else to add, and that is, what one action, because we are, all change work comes from action, as Rich has already called out in this call, and all extraordinary things are created from accumulation of small ordinary steps. So what one action are you going to commit to, because this is an open call and this will be watched by others, so there's we don't do accountability coaching, but if ever there was accountability, it's here right now in this moment, because this will be online and be freely available. What are you going to call out into the world? What are you going to commit to here? One significant action in the near future.
I'm losing you. The signal appears to be going here. Hello, Wales. Are you still there? Oh, that's a really, that pushes me into a very uncomfortable space, and that's good. That's really, really good that it does push me into. You'd have me running out the door 6 months ago. The question for me is it's about talking. It's about contacting people and talking to them. And the question for me is who do I approach? Who do I approach within my industry who I can make a significant difference to, but scares the hell out of me?
Didn't you just name them successful podiatry business owners?
Yeah, I haven't created those yet. This is 2021. I will do. Oh, successful podiatry business owners.
I thought that's what you said your avatar was.
It is, absolutely. Ooh, give me the eyebrows as well.
So start now then.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to think of some names. Seriously, I'm trying to think of some names of people I know at the moment.
Maybe it's not appropriate to name the name on the call, but do you know where to look, where to get those names quite quickly?
Yeah, we have forums which people are on, and I've got, it's such a small industry that you know who is out there, and who is running these businesses. And yes, there are people, absolutely.
Right.
And actually, it's a really uncomfortable question, because it's rightly so. That's a very uncomfortable question, which is good.
Yeah, because you got to start now.
Absolutely.
So
start now. Absolutely.
A couple of things for me to finish is really, so with Chris deliberately breaking rapport, I deliberately went back into humour to put Dave in a different space to see if there was anything that could be created from there, and there was, because it was, may or may not do it, but personal development tools, US podiatry, all these things came out.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, so you know what the vision is, you know what you want to do. What do you need to do to remind yourself on a regular basis about this conversation and what you created in this conversation?
I need to jot it down. I need to have it be behind the computer here. There's a wall, and this wall has nothing on it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing on it at all. And it's an absolutely fabulous space to have my values, my mission, my goals, my future, and possibility. Yeah. It's an ideal space to have it down there. The other thing as well is the 9 points. I think it's 9. I think it's the 9 points which you talked about, you know, what can you do each day in your coaching business? Yeah. So are you looking for new leads? Are you looking to get people into your calendar? Is there anyone you can invoice? Yeah. Put that up there as well. But it's having that visual representation. So when I walk in the room, I see it. It's there. Boom. Yeah. And 10 out of 10, that's going to be done when? Ooh, by next Tuesday. Okay. You're going to want pictures and everything.
And that's all great. And can I invite you also to have one question that maybe you can live from? What would that be? A question, a campus question. So I will give you an example. I will share mine. Mine is, what will serve this person in front of me in this moment? Not what will please them. What will truly serve them? The reason that's served me so well over the years is 2 reasons. A, it keeps the awareness in the person in front of me and takes the pressure off myself, so I can ask some pretty edgy questions. And secondly, it's about serving rather than pleasing. So that's just my question from me.
And my questions are somewhat similar. It's like, you know, for me personally, it's how can I be the difference today? As you know, that phrase means a lot to me. And then with the clients, how can I help that person or create a space for that person to be the difference for themselves? It's a very, very similar flavour to Chris's question.
I think for me, it's about how can I be better today than I was yesterday. That's because it's not about I've got to be 200-300% better. I've just got to be point whatever percent better. As long as it's a compound effect. It's that as long as I'm improving, then I'm moving in the right direction. Yeah. That's the first thing. Yeah. And the big one for me, given my kind of medical history and my being a patient in podiatry and seeing the benefit that podiatry had to me, you know, it essentially kept me with 2 legs and stopped me having to go to fancy dress parties as a pirate. But for me, it's about how do I increase the overall visibility of the foot health profession? What is my role in making sure that the 65 million people in the UK look upon foot health in the same way as they look upon dentistry for their teeth? And the only way to do that is to make podiatrists and people in the foot health industry so visible and confident in what they do and what they provide, and to help them find their why.
Mm. And interesting, that's actually a very similar why to why Chris and I created TSBOC, which was knowing how impactful great coaching is, and seeing a lot of great coaches out there that just weren't making enough money for it to be sustainable, and certainly not enough to thrive. And that really, and we created that for ourselves, that what drove us forward as well. So that will be powerful for you, really powerful.
And that's something which has grown. Even though there's days where I feel that by selling the business, I'm actually running away from podiatry. I'm actually not. I'm actually, the clinic has served its purpose. It's given me the vehicle to help people. Now it's given me the experience to use in order to help even more people. It's a stepping stone. And when I reframe it like that, it's an absolutely fantastic place to be. It really is.
Awesome.
Great questions, Dave. I'd invite you to add those to the wall behind you as go-to questions when you're looking in the days to come for the right course of action in that moment. Those are compass questions. So, yeah, great. I think it's probably a good point to bring the coaching to a close there. Yourself, Dave. Let's. Rich and I have both given some critique of the coaching as we've gone along, which I think is felt the best way tonight to do that. What was the takeaway? What is the takeaway? One takeaway for yourself from this session.
Just how powerful coaching is, and even coming onto this call tonight, knowing that. It's knowing that part of it is to be able to talk about the TSBOC course and to talk about the changing with coaching. To actually come in here knowing that and still come away from it massively coached and in a completely different space. And that's genuine. I mean, anyone watching this, you'll be able to see the change in body language and face. So that's the biggest takeaway for me, is just how powerful coaching is. Mm. And you all need it.
Go to the back of the room.
Yeah, and here's my card. Give me a call.
So I think we just want to spend a couple of minutes, don't we, Chris, just outlining, what TSBOC is in its different formats, and it is evolving. I'll go through the logistics of how it works, and Chris, maybe you want to explain a bit more about why we do the different bits. So we're on to our third mastermind group now. It's evolved over time. We have a Facebook group, first and foremost. The role of that Facebook group is a community, so people can interact on a regular basis, because a lot of it is members coaching each other. But again, there's a certain amount of recording actions taken and sharing insights and asking questions. So there's a Facebook group throughout the 6-month period that we run the mastermind for. We do one-to-one coaching once a month. So you'll either be coached by me or Chris once a month, and it alternates. And so we can go deep in those conversations. And another thing that we do is we do monthly mastermind calls. So we get together as a group like this on Zoom, talk through topics. Particularly, we don't tend to go around and disseminate what everyone's doing. We tend to more just talk around topics that are showing up for the group. And then probably my favourite bit, and probably Chris as well, is we do 2 sets of live days. It's 2 days, 2-day blocks, so it's 2 lots of 2 days. We get together, we do a bit of teaching, some insights. We have more time to go around the group, find out where people are at. We coach members of the group, and also we unpack the coaching like we did there. Something we're increasingly doing more of is giving you an insight into how Chris and I coach, because one of the reasons we have been able to grow our coaching practice is that we get great results with our clients, and so they tend to stay on as clients. And so there's a number of different factors, and we've evolved that over time because we think it works. The reason that I do it, and the reason that Chris and I started it, and he'll give his own input on this as well, is when I went into full-time coaching, I was a very good coach. I was a Robbins trainer. I was an NLP trainer, and I really struggled to build a coaching practice, and there wasn't a lot of information out there. One of the books that Chris and I love is The Prosperous Coach by Lippman and Chandler. Great book. What we're doing now is really adding detail to that kind of service-based coaching framework. That's our passion. And I struggled through. I basically got to the point where I'm so competitive that I just made it a must that I was going to create a six-figure coaching business. And a big part of that was I started to make progress. Started talking to Chris on a weekly basis, seeing that he was making progress, and then Chris would bring his own bits in and teach me, and we'd be co-coach each other every week. And I don't think that's an accident that the two of us together have created six-figure coaching business that are incredibly time efficient. And then I just turned around. There was actually a lady a couple of years ago, Mary Somerville, who we went, do you know what, I think she'd benefit from this. And I think there'd be some other people that would as well. And we formed the first TSBOC group. And we're going to go on from this. We're currently about to start recording an online course, which will be kind of a more accessible level for some of you. But this mastermind group, if you're a coach that's making decent money, but you know you can make a lot more, this might be right for you right now. And we're starting the next one start of October. If you think you're not ready for that yet, then watch this space, because we'll be bringing out an online course shortly, and maybe start there. So that's my bit. I'm going to hand over to Chris. I'll let you finish up.
Yeah, I would reiterate a lot of what Rich said there. I think, not to repeat, but just to add to that, what Rich and I offer on a one-to-one level are apprenticeships to coaches. And these are in the tens of thousands of pounds. And that's great. And we love doing that work. But it's not the right solution for coaches who, as Rich said, are gaining some traction, who are successful, but are not at the level yet whereby that's the right solution for them. And the thing with an apprenticeship is 3 levels. There is coaching the person as a human being. There is mentorship, because of course Rich and I I've been doing this for about 9 years, Rich longer. So there are times when we can just give direct advice, just one advice based on our experience, of course, but it can short circuit things for sure. And then there's supervision, where clients get to bring their own client questions to sessions, to sessions. And certainly for myself, I didn't want to I still do that, and there's a big passion of mine to work one-to-one with people on that level, but I didn't want to just do that. I want to make that knowledge far more accessible. And that's really what the mastermind has kind of morphed into. Now we're going to the third iteration of that, 6 months, starting in October 2018. And we've got the 3 elements there to repeat: coaching, mentorship, and supervision. And also this coaching we've done tonight and dissemination of that's important as well. So that's going to be a strong thrust through this next iteration. So if you are watching this video and you valued what you've seen and heard tonight and learned tonight, and you feel that, do you know what, maybe this is something that at least you'd like more information about, then the call to action would simply be to reach out to myself or Rich. We are very visible there on Facebook. And also we've got now a TSBOC page also on Facebook.
And the email's thesecretbusinessofcoaching@gmail.com as well.
Yeah, okay, so there we have it, thesecretbusinessofcoaching@gmail.com. Just drop us an email and we'll create a conversation and see where it leads.
And Dave, if a podiatry business owner is watching this and knows they need to speak to you, that's the best way to get hold of you.
Best way to get hold of me, davejames73@gmail.com.
Awesome. Dave, thanks very much for your time tonight. Appreciate it very much, my friend. And as I said, absolute pleasure having you as part of our mastermind, and looking forward to the next 6 months and the next 3 years as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.